So in the previous class, we had discussed about this intercooled cycle, means intercooled Brayton cycle. Before that, we have discussed few other cycles. If you remember, we started with the simple Brayton cycle and saw how its efficiency and the net specific work output varies with the process parameters. What are the parameters? Typically, there are two important parameters: the compression ratio R and the temperature ratio T, okay, maximum to minimum temperature. So we have seen that the efficiency did not vary with the T, it only varied with R, but the work output varied with both R and T. And then we have seen other types of cycles, modifications to increase the efficiency, which was regeneration, and then modification to increase the work output, which was reheating, and then combined reheating and regeneration, which increased both the efficiency and the work output. And then one second. So then we had discussed this intercooled cycle in the previous class, which is also similar to reheat cycle, similar in the sense that the main idea is to increase the work output at the cost of efficiency. Okay, but the change is done not on the turbine side, but in the compressor side. So the compressor process is divided into two processes, and there is a cooling in between, so that the gases or the air from the outlet of the first compressor is cooled to a low temperature, so that less work is required for compressing it again to high pressure. And we have seen the plots also for this case. We have seen, you remember again, I will show again today, but we have seen that the efficiency is less than the simple Brayton cycle, but slightly higher than the reheat cycle. Okay, this is because the changes that are occurring on the low temperature side are lower as compared to changes that occur on this side because of divergence of this constant pressure lines. So any change that you do in this side on the turbine side will result in more effect. That's why reheating has more effect. So reheating has more effect in the sense that it also increases the work output more as compared to intercooled cycle. So we have seen that as compared to simple Brayton cycle, the intercooled cycle has higher work output, but it is still lower than the reheat cycle. And on the other hand, the efficiency decreases, but not as much as the reheat cycle. Okay. So today we will study the combination of intercooled cycle with these other cycles. One is the intercooled cycle with regenerative Brayton cycle. Second is the intercooled cycle with reheat Brayton cycle. And the final one is the with all the devices, the Brayton cycle with intercooling, reheating, and regeneration, and then see their characteristics and see which cases are like beneficial at what temperature ratio and R, and then we will solve couple of problems to get an idea about how to solve this type of problems. So let us start with the next cycle, which is intercooled cycle with regeneration. So all this, the idea is similar. So you actually, we don't even need to, once you get the feel for these changes, it just comes to you automatically. You don't need to memorize everything. So you know what sort of change will occur. So anything, so all the equations for work output and efficiency can be easily derived. Okay. So intercooled cycle with regeneration as compared to simple intercooled cycle, we have the regeneration part as extra. Okay, so let me just describe the cycle. So like the simple intercooled cycle, we have the first compressor, which compresses the air from ambient condition 1 to higher temperature and pressure 2. Then we have the heat exchanger, which we have called as the intercooler. Here the cooling occurs with the use of cooling water, which brings the temperature of the air. So it's like a counterflow heat exchanger, which brings the cooling water, which one brings the air temperature down. And typically it is brought down. Theoretically, the minimum limit of this temperature is equal to ambient temperature, because we are using cooling water from the ambient conditions. Then the temperature goes back to the ambient condition, ambient temperature. Pressure is still high, remember, because this is a higher constant pressure line. So again, it is compressed to 4 in the second compressor, to state 4, which is at the highest pressure in the cycle. And temperature we have seen for the optimum condition, the temperature at 4 is equal to the temperature at 2. Okay. So the compression ratio from 1 to 2 is equal to the compression ratio from 3 to 4. This we have seen. We have called this compression ratio as RA, and this as RB. Means 1 to 2 is RA and 3 to 4 as RB. And we have seen that the maximum work output is obtained when RA is equal to RB. Okay, and which is equal to root of R, where R is the overall compression ratio. So if the overall compression ratio is 25, RA should be equal to 5 and RB should be equal to 5. Then 4 to 5 should have been the heat addition in the combustion chamber. Okay, if it was a simple intercooled cycle. But now, because we have a regenerator, part of the heating is done in the regenerator itself. If you remember the regeneration process, the heating in the regeneration occurs by taking heat from the exhaust gases. So from 4 to 7, we are using the heat from the exhaust gases. Ideally, for an ideal regenerator where the heat exchange effectiveness is 100%, the 7 point is equal to temperature at 0.7 is equal to temperature at 0.6. Okay, which is the exhaust gas temperature. Up to this point, we are heating in the regenerator, as you can see here. And from 7 to 5 is the heat addition in the combustion chamber. Okay, so this is the change that has occurred as compared to the simple intercooled cycle. And then the rest part is again similar. 5 to 6 is the expansion in the turbine. And then 6 to 8 is the heat removal from the exhaust gases, which occurs due to the heat exchange in the regenerator. Okay. So again, 8 should be equal to 4 for the ideal regenerator. 8 should be equal to 4, and because 4 is at 2, so T8 should be equal to T4 equal to T2. Okay, for the ideal regenerator. If we consider that the heat exchange effectiveness is 100%. So from 8, the exhaust gas is released to the atmosphere. Still, it has a lot of energy, but that cannot be used. Okay. So this is the intercooled Brayton cycle with regeneration. Similarly, you should be able to draw the PV diagram. In this case, I have shown, may not be for all the cases, but for 1 or 2 cases I have shown, so that you get a feel of how to draw the PV diagram. Okay. Or any other TV diagram also you should be able to draw. All diagrams I don't need to show here, because it's just same process in different coordinate systems, and you should know how to draw the, say, isentropic process in any coordinate system, or say constant pressure lines in any coordinate system. So again here, if you see 1 to 2 is the isentropic compression, 2 to 3 is the heat removal, constant pressure heat removal, 3 to 4 is the isentropic compression in the second compressor, 4 to 7 is the heat addition at constant pressure, 7 to 5 is the constant pressure heat addition in the combustion chamber, 5 to 6 is the isentropic expansion, 6 to 8 is the constant pressure heat removal in the regenerator, and 8 to 1 we are closing the cycle, assuming that there is a constant pressure heat rejection. Any questions?
No, sir.
So let us continue. So we will do the same analysis. For all cycles, our aim is to find the characteristics. Characteristics means how the efficiency and work output varies with R and T. Okay. So W net is equal to, let me now open that this case. Keep the cycle open. Keep referring to it. W net is equal to turbine work output minus compressor work input for the first compressor minus compressor work input for the second compressor. Okay. This is same as simple intercooled cycle because the compressor work inputs are also same and the turbine work output is also same. Okay, there is no change that is occurring. So that we should have already known because we have seen previously that regeneration does not change the work output. Regeneration only changes the heat addition and as a result increases the efficiency. It does not have any effect on work output. Just a second, please. Just a second, please. Okay, let's go. So, am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the work output we have already derived for the intercooled cycle. Okay, if we go back for the intercooled cycle at the optimum condition, the work output is given by, means the non-dimensional net specific work output was T minus T by C. Where is the optimum condition? This T minus T by C plus 2 minus 2 root C. Okay, same work output will be obtained here also. T minus T by C plus 2 minus 2 root C. Okay, so from the non-dimensional work output, you can get the dimensional work output by multiplying this value by this non-dimensional value by means multiplying it with CPT1. Okay, so that will give us the work output. But as I was saying, the efficiency changes because the heat input is reduced. So the heat input is reduced. So now the new efficiency is work output, which is CPT1 into T minus T by C plus 2 minus 2 root C, okay, divided by the heat addition, which is now CPT5 minus T7. Instead of T5 minus T4, is CPT5 minus T7. That's the only change. So now you can just do some algebraic calculations. It's not needed, but if you want to simplify, you can try to simplify. This simplified expressions do not have any particular meanings or anything. It's just for plotting. I could have plotted with this expression itself. So it's not that this is a particularly important form of the formula. It's one way of writing it. So CP gets cancelled, and the top numerator you keep same, and in the denominator T5 by T1 is T max by T minimum, which is equal to T, and T7 by T1 is equal to T7. So how we have to, is equal to T7 by T5 into T5 by T1. Okay, so T5 by T1 is against T, and T7 by T5 is nothing but equal to T6 by T5. T6 by T5 is equal to 1 by C. Okay, because T5 by T6 is equal to the is equal to R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So from there we get that this is equal to T minus T by C. It's written here also. Okay. So from here you can write eta is equal to 1 minus 2 root C minus 2 divided by T minus T by C. Please don't try to remember and memorize this formula and directly use it in a problem. You will not learn anything, and I will not give you marks also if you directly use this formula in the problem. For the problem, you go with first principles. Try to go with finding out all the value of temperatures and then finding the efficiency and work output from that. Okay, these are just for drawing the characteristics. We are writing this in this type of forms. Okay, it is not a formula. So if we plot this efficiency, what about the work output? Work output will, because it has not changed, it will remain same as that of the intercooled cycle. Means then what was the work output for the intercooled cycle? We have seen the plots in MATLAB. It is between the reheat cycle, means it is lower than the reheat cycles but higher than the simple Brayton cycle. So with regeneration also it remains same, and the efficiency increases. Okay, efficiency increases, particularly like the efficiency plot changes totally, like the regeneration cycle, similar to that, it changes totally, and so for up to a particular value, so it decreases with R, and up to a particular value of R, it is higher than that of simple intercooled cycle. After that value of R, the simple intercooled cycle has a higher efficiency. Okay, and the efficiency also increases with T. So see, this is similar to the efficiency plots for regeneration cycle with reheating. We will compare those two also later on. Okay. So eta increases as compared to simple intercooled cycle. Improvement of eta is maximum at the lower R and higher T values, obviously. W net versus R plots are same as the previous case, simple intercooled cycle. Okay, I will show you the plots once we do all the once we go through all the other cycles. We can compare all the cases and try to understand what is happening. Okay, but this is the nature. It is similar to the simple regenerative cycle or regenerative with reheating, and so it decreases with R, and up to a certain value is more beneficial. After that value, the simple intercooled cycle becomes more beneficial. So we will go to now the other type of modification, which is intercooling with reheating. Okay. So again, as we already know these components, different components, it's just a matter of adding these components together. Okay. So for reheating now, with intercooling, the first part remains same. The intercooling part remains same. So 1 to 2 is the isentropic compression in the first compression. 2 to 3 is the heat removal in the intercooler. 3 to 4 is the isentropic compression in the second compressor. 4 to 5 is the heat addition in the combustion chamber. So up to this point, it is similar to intercooled cycle. But now instead of a single turbine expansion, we have two turbines. So from 5 to 6 is the expansion in the first turbine. Then from 6 to 7 is there is second combustion chamber, where again constant pressure heat addition occurs. And 7 to 8 is the expansion in the second turbine. So the top part is similar to our reheat Brayton cycle. Okay, there also we had exactly similar type of behavior. Okay. And if you remember the analysis there, you should remember, because I have told you to study that before coming to the class. So in that case, the optimum value of work output, for the optimum value of, or for the maximum value of work output, we have seen that T6 is equal to T8, and this pressure ratios are same, and so that temperature ratios are also same. T5 by T7, T6 is equal to T7 by T8, and T5 is also equal to T7. That also we have seen. That is governed by the metallurgical limit, and the ratios are same as obtained for maximum work output. As a result, T6 is equal to T8. Okay, and for the intercooled cycle, we have seen that the pressure and temperature ratios are same from 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. So T4 is equal to T2, as T1 is equal to T3. Okay, that also we have discussed. So in this case, T1 equal to T3, T2 equal to T4, T6 equal to T8, and T5 equal to T7 for the maximum work output, for the optimum cycle. This is how the component diagram looks like. And PV diagram again is very simple. 1 to 2 is the isentropic compression. 2 to 3, constant pressure heat rejection. 3 to 4 is the isentropic compression in the second compressor. 4 to 5 is the constant pressure heat addition in the first combustion chamber. 5 to 6. These are not straight lines, okay, although it looks like straight. These are not straight lines. So this is actually should be a curved line. 5 to 6 is the isentropic expansion. This isentropic compression and expansions are curved lines in the PV diagram. So 5 to 6 is a isentropic expansion in the first turbine. 6 to 7 is the constant pressure heat addition in the second combustion chamber. 7 to 8 is the isentropic expansion in the second turbine. So under optimum condition, we have seen that P2 equal to P3. Anyway, P2 equal to P3 because that's the constant pressure line. But this P2 equal to P3 is equal to root of P1, P4. Okay. So that we have seen because the pressure ratios are same. And P6 equal to P7 obviously because it's a constant pressure process. But this P6 or P7 is equal to root over P5, P8. Again, that we have already derived. You should remember. And because P5 is equal to P4 and P8 is equal to P1, that is also equal to root over P4, P1. Okay. It means that P2 equal to P3 is equal to P6 equal to P7. Okay. So all these 4 points are on the same constant pressure line. All these 4 points are on the same constant pressure line under optimum condition. Also, I have already said T2 equal to T4 and T6 equal to T8. And from design consideration, T1 equal to T3 because of the ambient conditions, and T5 is equal to T7 because of metallurgical limit of the turbine blades. So for this case now, we can calculate the work output and the efficiency. And again, the calculation is very simple. So W net by CPT1 is equal to work output from the first turbine, which is Cp T5 minus T6. Then plus work output from the second turbine, which is Cp T7 minus T8, minus work input to the first compressor, which is minus Cp T2 minus T1, minus work input to the first compressor, then the second compressor, Cp T4 minus T3, divided by Cp T1 to get the non-dimensional form of the work output. So by this time, we are very familiar with how to do this simplification. Okay. So T5 by T1 is equal to T, temperature ratio. T6 by T1. T6 by T1 is T5 by T1. Right? T6 by T1 is T5 by T1 into T6 by T5. So T5 by T1 is T. And T6 by T5 is 1 by root C. We have already seen that. It's very simple. Similarly, you can do all the other calculations. Plus T minus T by root C minus root C plus 1 minus root C plus 1. So very simple calculation. Okay, just a matter of. So remember that T2 by T1 is root C and T4 by T3 is also root C. Okay, because what is root C? What is C? C is R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. And in these cases, we have RA, and RA is equal to root R. So RA to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma is root of R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So CA is equal to root C. So T2 by T1 is root C. T1 by T1 obviously is 1. T4 by T1 is root C and T3 by T1 is 1. And these terms, T7 by T1 is again T, and T8 by T1 because T8 is equal to T6. Okay, so exactly same. So you get minus T by root C. So W net by CPT1 is 2 T minus T by root C minus root C plus 1. So to find the efficiency, so this is the work output. We can plot it with respect to T and R. Where does R come into the picture? R comes in terms of C because C is equal to R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So generally we prefer to plot in terms of R because R, it is easier to understand in terms of the compressor pressure ratio, overall pressure ratio in this case. So the efficiency eta is equal to net work output divided by the heat addition. Okay. So CPT1 into 2 T minus T by root C minus root C plus 1. This is the net work output divided by heat addition. There are two heat addition processes, CPT5 minus T4 plus CP T7 minus T6. Okay. So again, you do the calculation. Just divide. You take the cancel CP and divide the denominator by T1. You will get T5 by T1, which is equal to T. Then T4 by T1. T4 by T1 is nothing but T4 by T3, which is root C. Then T7 by T1, because T7 equal to T5, again that is T. And T6 by T1, which previously only we have seen. T6 by T1 is T5 by T1 into T6 by T5, which is equal to minus T by root C. So this is our ultimate expression for the efficiency. We can plot this with respect to T and R to see how the efficiency varies. So for these cases, again, we will do the actual numerical comparison by using MATLAB plots. Let me show you the trends there. So the trends are similar to that of reheat cycle and intercooled cycle. So for the standard Brayton cycle, we had a certain efficiency which was fixed with respect to T, but varied with respect to R, increased with respect to R. In these cases, the efficiencies increases with T, but are still always lower than the standard Brayton cycle. Okay, and the efficiencies are slightly lower than that of reheat cycle and lower than that of simple intercool. So we get the lowest efficiencies basically with this combination of all the cycles that we have studied, and we have studied so many cycles. We get the lowest efficiency in this case. Okay. It is lower than simple intercooled cycle. It is also slightly lower than simple reheat cycle for most values, not always, but most values of RMT. What about work output? What do we expect? Work output increases with reheating. Work output also increases with intercooling. And because we have combined both of them, we expect the work output to be very high. Okay. So for this case, the work output is highest among all the gas turbine cycles. Till now, we have studied whatever 7 cycles. Among all of them, the work output is highest. Behavior is exactly similar to that of simple Brayton cycle or reheat cycle or intercooled cycle. So where the value increases with T and also increases with R up to a certain extent and again decreases. But the numerical values are very high, much higher as compared to simple Brayton cycle and even higher compared to reheat cycle, which we had previously seen has the highest value. So in this case, we get the highest work output, but at the cost of efficiency. Okay. Highest work output, but at the cost of efficiency. Any questions? No questions. So now we have seen that this cycle gives the highest work output. Now the only thing is that if we can increase the efficiency, then it would be ideal. And we know how to increase the efficiency, right? We know that if we put a regenerator, the work output does not change at all. Okay, so there is no effect of regeneration process on the work output. So if we put a regenerator, work output will remain highest, will remain same as this, but the efficiency should increase. So that is the role of regenerator. So that is the last cycle that we are going to study, which is intercooled cycle. So simple Brayton cycle with intercooling, regeneration and reheat. All the three additions are here. Okay. So it's the, you can say, the most complicated cycle, ultimate complicated cycle. Okay. It has all the combinations possible. And we expect that the efficiency will be higher. And obviously, we have seen that the work output is highest. So we'll see that numerically also by plotting in MATLAB. So again, all the processes remain similar to the intercooled cycle with reheating. Only change is that we have added a regeneration process. And we know how to add the regeneration process. From the exhaust gases, the heat exchange occurs after the compression process. Okay, so always the regeneration is that heat addition from the exhaust gases to the air after the compression process. Okay, so let us again, just for the sake of completeness, go through it once more so that it is like we get more familiar with this. So again, compression from 1 to 2, isentropic compression from 1 to 2. In the first compressor, 2 to 3. constant pressure heat rejection in the intercooler. 3 to 4 is isentropic compression in the second compressor. From 4 to 5 should have been the heat addition in the combustion chamber, but because of regeneration, now we have from 4 to 9 we have heat addition in the regenerator. Okay, from 4 to 9 we have heat addition in the regenerator. So from 9 to 5 we have the heat addition in the first combustion chamber. 5 to 6 is the expansion in the first turbine. 6 to 7 heat addition in the second combustion chamber. 7 to 8 is the expansion in the isentropic expansion in the second turbine, and 8 to 10 is the heat rejection or heat transfer from the exhaust gases in the regenerator. For an ideal regenerator, this 10 point we know that it should be equal to, so the temperature here should be equal to T2 and also T4, and this T9 should be equal to T6 and T8. Okay, because we are exchanging heat with these exhaust gases, T9 should be equal to T8. And what you can see from this diagram is that there is a huge scope for regeneration, because of intercooling we have decreased the temperature of the compressor outlet. Okay, so the scope of regeneration has increased, and because of reheating we have increased the temperature as of the exhaust gases. So the scope of regeneration has again increased. So ultimately we have a large scope for regeneration. So regeneration is very, very effective with intercooling and reheating. Okay, it is very effective with intercooling and reheating because you get a very large range of temperature for regeneration to occur. Same thing again can be plotted on the PV diagram. So 1 to 2 is the isentropic compression, 2 to 3 constant pressure heat rejection, 3 to 4 is second isentropic compression, 4 to 9 is the constant pressure heat addition in the regenerator, 9 to 5 is the constant pressure heat addition in the first combustion chamber, 5 to 6 is the isentropic expansion in the first turbine, high pressure turbine, 6 to 7 is the constant pressure heat addition in the second combustion chamber, and 7 to 8 is the isentropic expansion in the low pressure turbine. 8 to 10 is the heat rejection from the exhaust gases in the regenerator on the heat rejection side of the regenerator, and 10 to 1 we are closing the cycle assuming constant pressure heat rejection, but in real life the cycle will remain open. So work output, what is the work output? Work output is not going to change, right? So we know that with intercooling we can see from the diagram. It's not a thing of knowing or memorizing. We can see that there is no effect on the work output. So the work output remains same as CP_T5 minus T6 plus CP_T7 minus T8 minus CP_T2 minus T1 minus CP_T4 minus T3. So work output remains same. And what was the work output? So the work output was this much. Okay. So W net by CP_T1 is equal to 2T minus T by root. This is for the reheat plus intercooling. 2T minus T by root C minus root C plus 1. Okay. So it remains same. 2T minus T by root C minus root C plus 1 into CP_T1 will give you the dimensional form of the work output. Now the heat addition has changed, and the new heat addition is CP_T5 minus T9 plus CP_T7 minus T6. Okay, T5 minus T9 minus plus T7 minus T6. So this will give us the efficiency. Work output curves will exactly remain same. So the efficiency will change, and if you do the calculation, CP gets cancelled. Then take T1 to the denominator. So T5 by T1, remember, is equal to temperature ratio T. T9 is equal to T8 or T6. Okay, and T6 by T1, we have found that T6 by T1 is equal to T by root C. Okay, so this is minus T by root C. Then T7 by T1 again is equal to T, and T6 by T1 which is T by root C. We have already just told now. Okay. So we have 2T minus T by root C. 2 gets cancelled. So ultimately we have eta is equal to T minus T by root C minus root C minus 1. Okay, I've taken this into bracket divided by T by minus T by root C. In this case, you can simplify further. Again, you should not memorize this. Directly don't use this in any problem. Okay. You will not learn anything or you will not get marks also. You have to derive and solve the problem. So we get 1 minus, if you take root C common from the top and T common from the bottom, these two terms also get cancelled. So here eta is equal to 1 minus root C by T. Okay. If you remember, for the simple regenerative cycle, we have eta is equal to 1 minus C by T. Okay. For this case, it is 1 minus root C by T. Okay. Because root C is smaller than, because C is greater than 1, right? R to the power, R always is greater than 1. R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma is greater than 1. Because C is greater than 1, root C is less than C. So this term, root C by T, should be less than C by T. So 1 minus root C by T is greater than 1 minus C by T. So efficiency is higher. Okay, efficiency is higher than the simple regeneration cycle. So the intercooled cycle with reheat and regeneration, again I will show you in MATLABplot in a second, but it looks like this. Again, the nature is different. Nature is similar to that of regeneration cycle. Whenever regeneration is there, nature is like this. Okay, so it decreases with R and increases with temperature, and the maximum value is obtained at R equal to 1. Obviously, we cannot operate a cycle at R equal to 1 because there is no work output. But the theoretical limit for efficiency is highest at R equal to 1 for the intercooled, for any regeneration cycle. Okay. So this for the intercooled cycle with reheat and regeneration, we know that scope of regeneration is very high. So we expect the efficiency to be very high. Okay. So this line should be higher than the simple regeneration cycle or even the regeneration cycle with reheating or the regeneration cycle with the intercooling. Okay. So in this case, we expect the efficiency to be highest among all the cycles. Okay. At some point, the efficiencies will cut the simple Brayton cycle, and at very high values, that will happen at high values of R. And at that point, the simple Brayton cycle has the highest efficiency. Okay. Because remember that without regeneration, for all other cases, simple Brayton cycle has higher efficiency. Okay. So at some value of R, this any of this regeneration cycle efficiency will go lower than simple Brayton cycle, and simple Brayton cycle has the highest efficiency. But that for this case with intercooling and reheating and regeneration, that crossover occurs at a very high value of R. Okay, so that is not practical, that high value of R. Okay, so generally we operate at a region where intercooling with reheating and regeneration is more effective. Let us summarize before going into the MATLAB plots. Efficiency is highest among all the 8 cycles. We have seen 8 cycles till now. Simple Brayton, okay. Then Brayton with regeneration, Brayton with reheating, Brayton with regeneration and reheating. So that is 4 cycles. Then intercooled, Brayton with intercooled, Brayton with intercooled and regeneration, Brayton with intercooling and reheating, and Brayton with intercooling, regeneration and reheating. So 4 plus 4, 8 cycles we have seen. Efficiency is highest among all these 8 cycles up to a very high value of R. Not unlimited value, because at some point simple Brayton will have higher efficiency. Okay. Work output is also highest. Work output is highest among all gas turbine cycles and is equal to that of intercooled cycle with reheating. Okay, the previous case. So because the regeneration does not change the work output, it remains highest among all the gas turbine cycle and is equal to that of intercooled cycle with reheating. Okay, so both the things are highest. So in ideal scenario, this would have been my ideal case. Means if I want to build a gas turbine, but there are a lot of drawbacks. The system becomes very bulky. due to the presence of two compressors, two sets of turbines, two combustion chambers, one intercooler, which is again a very bulky heat exchanger, and you need external water supply, and then a regenerator, which is also a large heat exchanger. So you have two heat exchangers, two combustion chamber, two turbine, two compressor. So system becomes very bulky and is only suitable if you have very large systems which are ground based, which you do not expect to move, and like you want to generate a lot of power, so that in the long run the running cost will overcome the installation cost. Okay. So for power plants based on gas turbines, this may be quite effective. Okay, but for gas turbines which are used for jet engines, which we'll study later, we do not want to use these modifications, because their weight is the weight to thrust to weight ratio is the most important parameter. We want the weight to be as less as possible. So there we don't use any of these modifications. We just use a modified form of the simple Brayton cycle. But for land-based gas turbines, industrial gas turbines, land-based gas turbines are also known as industrial gas turbines. This type of modifications can be suitable if you want to generate large amount of power. Okay, where because the running cost will be lower because of higher efficiency. So in the long run, you can have benefits. Questions? No questions. Let us summarize the discussion here also. Okay. Hopefully you have studied the previous material and remember the variations. So this is the simple Brayton cycle. Okay. Simple Brayton cycle, we already know it looks like this. This x-axis is the variation of R and the y-axis is the efficiency. The efficiency obviously is 0 at R equal to 1, and then it increases gradually. And what is the efficiency for simple Brayton cycle? That everybody should know. How do we express the efficiency for simple Brayton cycle?
Sir, 1 minus 1 upon R raised to gamma minus 1 upon
Correct.
gamma.
So in this case, what will be the limiting value if R is like theoretically, what is the maximum efficiency that is possible? Theoretically. What is the maximum? So it will keep on increasing with R, right? So the second term will go to 0 at R equal to infinity. So theoretical limit is 1. So it asymptotically goes to 1. At very, very high value of R, obviously. So it's obviously it's not of any practical consequence. So say for a reasonable, very high R value of 30, we generally do not go beyond this, because we need lot of compressor stages to go up to 30. So we get efficiency which is slightly higher than 60% of the simple Brayton cycle. These plots we have already seen, I'm just repeating. This is for regeneration. Red lines are for regeneration. Okay. So first thin red line is the T equal to 2. Then the thicker red line is T equal to 3. Even thicker one is T equal to 4. Now this one is T equal to 5. And this is for T equal to 6. Okay. So we have studied this, at limit highest efficiency for regeneration cycle. Regeneration is simple regeneration. So regeneration Breton with regeneration. So at R equal to 1, we get the highest efficiency, which is 1 minus, I think it was 1 minus C by T. And then it decreases. So for T equal to 2, at a very small value of R only, it becomes worse than the simple Breton cycle. At T equal to 3 also, at a low value of R, it becomes worse than the simple Breton cycle. But once you go to higher values of T, you get quite a bit of range, up to which this regeneration cycle has a higher efficiency. For example, in this case, it is around 23 or 24, where so around 23 where the crossover occurs. Okay. So anyway, so this is the reheat cycle, Breton cycle with reheating. How do I remove this? So thin line is the thin green line is the T equal to 2 line. Then this is T equal to 3, T equal to 4, 5, and 6. This also we have seen. So we know that the efficiency is always less than the simple Breton cycle, and will never reach the simple Breton cycle efficiency. Okay. If you keep on increasing the value of T, it will just be near this line only. You can see that with higher values of T, not much change is occurring. So typically nowadays we can go to quite a high value of T. If you remember the discussion, so for industrial gas turbines, typically, say if the turbine blades can operate till 1200, 1300 Kelvin, then say if it is 1200 Kelvin and the ambient temperature is 300 Kelvin, so it is T value is 1200 by 300, so which is equal to 4. Okay, so T equal to 4 for that, for those cases. For jet engines, obviously you can go till higher value of T because the ambient conditions are lower. Ambient temperature will be around 220 to 30 degrees. So because of high altitude, the cruise at the cruise altitude. So with T 220 and 1200, it is 5 point something value of T. Okay, so T values are higher. Just to keep in mind what are typical values, and the R values are somewhere between 20 and 30 for modern gas turbines. Old gas turbines used to be 5, 6, something like that, very low values of R. Because beyond that, we are now studying the ideal compressor and ideal turbines. But in real compressors, there will be isentropic losses, frictional losses, and for a high compression ratio, the frictional losses will be so high that we will not get any work output in real life. Although here it looks very rosy, that efficiency is 60%, and we know that for the steam power plants efficiency is somewhere around 40%, less than 40%. For simple steam power plants, it is less than 30%, but with all the additions, like in that case also, if you have reheating, so with those type of additions, we can increase the efficiency to 40-something%. Typically, very large power plants nowadays operate at 40-something% of efficiency. So in this case also, ultimately we will see later that the efficiencies are below 40%. Okay, it is only because of we are not taking into consideration any losses. We are getting this type of high efficiencies. Once the losses are taken into account, efficiency will decrease, and efficiency will decrease by quite a bit, because compressor work input is also quite large as compared to steam turbines, where pump work input is negligible. So here compressor work input is large, and any inefficiency in the compressor will lead to significant increase in the work input and significant decrease in the efficiency. Anyway, so these are the lines. Then blue lines. So T equal to 2, T equal to 3, 4, 5, and 6. These blue lines are reheating with regeneration. Breton cycle with reheat and regeneration. We know that the efficiency will be high. Why the efficiencies were high? Simple Brayton cycle, the efficiency is decreased by using a reheating. But intercooled cycle, sorry, not intercooled, the regeneration cycle, efficiency is increased by using reheating. Why this opposite behavior was present? In one case, I am adding reheating and the efficiency decreases. Simple Brayton cycle, I am adding reheating, efficiency decreases. In the other case, regeneration cycle, I am adding same reheating I am adding, but the efficiency increases. Why this opposite behavior?
Sir, because of reheating, that scope of regeneration is increased.
Correct. Because of reheating, the scope we have discussed, the scope of regeneration is increased. Why is it increased?
Sir, that exhaust temperature is went higher.
Exhaust gas temperature is higher. Correct. Good. Exhaust gas temperature is higher, so we get more scope of regeneration. Okay, that's fine. And okay. Also, you can see that the crossover points are also higher. Means you can use regeneration. So crossover points means you have to compare with the reheat cycle. For this case, this is the crossover point. For this case, this is the crossover point. This t equal to 2. Similarly, for t equal to 3, this point here, thin red line and thin blue line, these are the crossover points. So they are effective for a longer duration. Okay. So these are the 4 cases. Now we will see the same 4 cases with intercooling by using the same colors, but using dotted line instead of solid line. So black line was the Brayton cycle, simple Brayton. So dotted black line will be intercooled cycle, t equal to 2, t equal to 3, t equal to 4, t equal to 5, t equal to 6. We have already seen this in the previous class. Again, just I will repeat. Efficiency of the Brayton cycle with intercooling is decreased as compared to simple Brayton cycle, but the decrease is not as much as the reheat cycle. The efficiency is still higher than the reheat cycle. Okay. Why? Again, we have discussed because the effects are less in the lower temperature side. Okay. Because of the differences between temperature for between constant pressure lines are lower. So any changes that occur on the low temperature side is less as compared to the high temperature side of the constant pressure line. High temperature side means high entropy side of the constant pressure line. Okay. Nature is similar to the reheat cycle, but the efficiency is higher than the reheat cycle, but lower than the simple Brayton cycle. Okay. Next, what we will see, regeneration with intercooling. Okay, regeneration with intercooling. So the dotted red lines. Okay, and you have to compare them with the. You can compare them with blue lines as well as red lines. Okay. For example, this is for t equal to 2. So intercooling with regeneration is more effective than intercooling with reheating. Okay, intercooling with intercooling with regeneration more effective than reheating with regeneration. Okay, intercooling with reheating regeneration has higher efficiency as compared to reheating with regeneration. So, although both of them increases the efficiency of the simple regeneration cycle, but intercooling increases it even further. Okay. So t equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So efficiency is very high. As you can see, efficiency is very high, even higher than the reheat plus regeneration cycle. Large scope for regeneration is there in the intercooled cycle. And so next, what we'll see, so the graph is becoming complicated, but you should be able to follow based on the colors. Okay. Next, what we will see is reheat cycle with intercooling. Okay, so what are the simple reheat cycle lines? Green lines. So we have to compare with the green lines with dotted green lines. Okay. So t equal to 2, t equal to 3. Okay, there is an anomaly here, but in general, I have said that For most cases, it will be lower than that of reheat cycle. Obviously, lower than that of intercooled cycle, but even lower than that of reheat cycle. So efficiency is lowest among all cycles. T is equal to 3 is lower than that of the solid green line. T is equal to 4, again lower than the solid green line. T equal to 5 and T equal to 6. So efficiencies are lowest among all the cycles with regeneration and reheat. With reheat and intercooling. Okay, with reheat and intercooling, and finally we'll see the combining everything. So for that case, our reference was the blue line, which was reheat plus regeneration. Now we will add intercooling, so we'll see dotted blue lines. And what we have already discussed is that the efficiency should be highest in this case. Okay, because of all this modification. Actually, efficiency is very high in these cases. So this is T equal to 2, T equal to 3. You can see that the line becomes very flat. T equal to 4, T equal to 5, and T equal to 6. Okay. So you can see here this nature, it is so flat. Means it is one thing is that it is very high. Still at R equal to 30, it is much more higher than 70%, which is a very high efficiency, of course, for a heat engine. These are all heat engines, right? So for a heat engine, we have this is a very, very high efficiency. And it is also very flat. So for a very high range of R, this should be much more effective than the simple Brayton cycle. Ultimately, we'll know that somewhere the simple Brayton cycle will cross this line. But it has at least not crossed, or it is not even nearer to that of the simple Brayton cycle, even at R equal to 30. So for this range, for any practical range, the highest efficiency is obtained with all the modifications put together. It's a very high efficiency because both reheat and intercooling strongly supports the regeneration process because of larger scope for regeneration. Okay. Any questions here? I have changed the scale to 100. Obviously, we do not use, nowhere do we use, we cannot use 100. But just to show you how the behavior is. So ultimately, you will see that there is a point, so somewhere around 65 or 63, that the simple Brayton cycle has become more efficient. And ultimately, simple Brayton cycle will remain highest efficiency. But this is nowhere near the practical range. These lines you can ignore because these are spurious lines. This is just a continuation of this line. This part of the line has ended here only. Okay, this extra line is a spurious line. It does not have any meaning, meaningless. So ultimately, the behavior all remains same. And what I had discussed initially also, that for all the cases after some time, except for the simple Brayton cycle, for all the cases the efficiency starts decreasing after some time. Although lines are quite flat, but they will start decreasing even for the like this reheat cycle, intercooled cycle, all the cycle. Only the simple Brayton cycle, the efficiency keeps on increasing. This type of plots you should be able to generate. These files I will upload so that you can also just plot and see. But similar type of problems I will give in as assignment that you have to do for other types of cycle, for jet engines, turbojets or turbofans. Turbojets also I will show. Turbofans I will give you to draw this type of plots so that you know, because these are how you can actually see the characteristics instead of just looking at the theoretical values, because from here we cannot understand. We know the behavior of nature, actual comparison we cannot do. Let us look at the work output. again we should remember this is simple Brayton cycle. Remember that work output is function of both R and T, even for simple Brayton cycle. So this is T equal to 2, black line, thicker black line, T equal to 3, T equal to 4, 5, and T equal to 6, thickest line. Okay. So the work output increases up to an optimum point and again decreases. That we already know. For all the cases, it will happen. Here it is just showing I am showing up to 30, so you do not see much decrease. But if I increase the value, I think we will be able to. Let us check. No, not for this one. Whereas workout, I have closed it. Is it? T equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just change the axis. We'll keep it 30 because that is a reasonable limit, but for just one case, I want to show that actually it decreases. There is an optimum point, and after that, it decreases. Okay, for all the cases. Now we will study with 30 only. So simple Brayton cycle. Then blue lines are. So remember that regeneration does not have any effect on the work output. So we only need to see 4 cases here instead of 8, because like what are the 4 cases? Simple Brayton with reheat, means Brayton with reheat, Brayton with intercooling, and Brayton with reheat and intercooling. Because in all these 4, if you add regeneration to get the other 4 cycles, there is no effect. Okay. So this is with reheating, and we know that with reheating we get very high work output. So T equal to 2, then T equal to 3, thicker blue line, even thicker blue line, T equal to 4, T equal to 5, and T equal to 6. Very large work output as compared to simple Brayton. Okay. Then intercooling, we know that we will get somewhere in between, Brayton with intercooling. So dotted black lines. Okay. T equal to 2, then thicker dotted black line, T equal to 3, T equal to 4, 5, and 6. So it is higher than that of simple Brayton, but not as high as reheating cycle. Okay, and we know this reason, we have already discussed. The effect of intercooling is less as compared to the effect of reheating, both on the efficiency. So the decrease of efficiency is also less, but the increase of work output is also less. Okay. And finally, that of reheating plus intercooling, which should give us which is the highest efficiency. Highest work output. Even with regeneration, also the work output remains same. So we expect that the work output should be highest. So this is we will show by blue dotted line. T equal to 2, thin blue dotted line. T equal to 3, T equal to 4, T equal to 5, and T equal to 6. And this gets us the highest work output among all the cycles. So if you use reheat, regeneration, and intercooling, you get these lines, blue dotted lines here, highest work output, as well as blue dotted lines here, which is the highest efficiency, up to even R equal to 30. In both cases, these are the most optimum values. Means for any practical range, you get highest efficiency plus highest work output with the final cycle. But obviously, the system becomes too bulky because so many extra devices are there. So only for very large scale systems, it makes sense. Questions? I will upload these things. Just do it now, otherwise we'll forget. Not all the course right now, whatever we have studied till now. Actually, the final one is sufficient. That has the first one also. You can run it and check all these cases with other values, and you can try. I have not uploaded any of the material. What are these extra slides? Kumar Rituraj. Why have you put? Others will get confused. Why have you put extra slides here? These are not required. I'm going to remove this. Let us come back to our notes. You guys are still there, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So summarize. To summarize, in general, addition of regenerator, efficiency increases, no effect on work output. Reheating, efficiency decreases. Efficiency decreases to a higher extent as compared to intercooling. No, there is no effect on work out. Work output increases again higher to a higher extent as compared to intercooling. Intercooler efficiency decreases and the work output increases, but the effect is less as compared to reheating. However, the efficiency does not decrease for reheating and intercooling if you combine with regenerator, because the scope of regeneration increases. Actually, reheating and intercooling has a positive effect on the efficiency of regeneration cycle. Okay. So please practice problems from the thermodynamics book, Chengel-Bowles. Okay. There is a chapter. I don't remember the chapter name number, but there is a chapter on gas turbines. Okay, or I think it's on gas turbines. Yes, there is a chapter on gas turbines. You can study some problems for them there. I will give you some problems also. And because of very limited time in the course, we don't have too much time for practicing in the class, but still we try to practice for each case couple of problems. But because it's a 3-credit course and there is no tutorial hour for practicing problems, but we will see a couple of problems today. I will give you some more problems to solve, but practice even more problems because these cases you need to practice. You can expect numerical problems in the exam. I have to set the exam question by second. There are a lot of problems in the book by Ganeshan. Ganeshan book is not good, but there are a lot of solved problems which you can solve. But solve it in the way we will discuss in the, at least for the later problems, because in Ganeshan they have done a lot of simplification, and the answers will be simplified answers, but we want to solve them more accurately. We don't want to take all the assumptions for later problems. We will, for example, we will take the effect of fuel flow rate, things like that. So, but for the simple problems, Convention is also good. Let us take a break here, and then we'll see a couple of solved problems after the break. So we'll continue. Can you hear me still?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us take a look at a
Yes,
couple
sir.
of simple problems. Okay. Let this remain open. It will be helpful for us. So let us consider a cycle for a gas turbine, okay, which is based on intercooling and reheating. Okay, so Brayton cycle with intercool and reheat, like shown here. Okay, intercool with reheat. Maximum and minimum temperatures in the cycle are 1200 Kelvin and 300 Kelvin. Okay, so maximum temperatures are T5 and T7. We know so for optimum cases. Okay, and minimum temperatures T1 and T3. So T5 is 1200, T7 is 1200, T1 and T3 are 300. Okay, this is specified also. If it was not specified, we would have assumed that they are equal for the optimum case. But it is also specified that both the compressors and both the turbines have equal pressure ratios optimized for maximum work output. Okay. So that will mean that so anyway we have to consider T5 equal to T7 and T3 equal to T1. But now we can also consider T6 equal to T8 and T4 equal to T2 because the pressure ratios are same for both the turbines and the compressor. The overall pressure ratio is 20, okay, and means R is equal to 20. So we have to find the efficiency of the cycle. So we will assume the properties of air, which is gamma equal to 1.4 and Cp is equal to 1.005 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Okay. So this is a TS diagram. Okay, I have forgotten to write T and S here. Obviously, it's a TS diagram. So for solving this problem, remember that this type of problem solving is actually very easy. What we need to do is we just need to find out the temperature at all the points. Once you find the temperature of all the points, we can calculate any energy transfer based on the change of enthalpy. Any change of enthalpy, say for example H5 minus H4 is equal to Cp T5 minus T4. Similarly, H2 minus H1 is equal to Cp T2 minus T1. So any change of enthalpy can be obtained using Cp into delta T. And if you know the delta T, if you know the temperatures, you can calculate delta T. So our role is to find all the temperatures. That is the only role. Then it becomes a very easy problem. Okay. So given condition is that T5 is equal to T7, assuming that maximum temperature is same for both these turbines, is equal to 1200 Kelvin. And T1 equal to T3 is equal to 300 Kelvin. Again, making assumptions because it is not specified. This is not specified. Okay. It is also given that R is equal to 20. Okay. And that the pressure ratios are equal for both the compressors and turbines. For both the compressors, pressure ratios are equal. Similarly, for both the turbines, the pressure ratios are equal. So RA equal to RB, and we know that so RA into RB is equal to R. So RA is equal to RB is equal to root R. Okay. So individual pressure ratios are root over 20, which is 4.4721. So it's mentioned here also, but anyway, we already know this. So T2 by T1, I will just keep this open, or we can go to the problem directly. Problem 1. Same cycle. T2 by T1 is equal to P2 by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, which is equal to RA or root R to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. RA we have found to be 4.4721 to the power gamma minus 1 is 0.4 by gamma is 1.4. Okay, so this is 1.5341. Because we know that T1 is equal to 300, we find that T2 is equal to 300 into 1.5341, which is equal to 460.2382 Kelvin. So the compressor outlet temperature, you can see the temperature rises quite a bit in the compressor. Okay, 460 is not a very low temperature. It rises quite a bit in the compressor because of the compression process. The pressure obviously rises much more. Pressure rises about 5 times, 4.5 times. Temperature rises around 1.5 times, as we can see here for this particular case. So now, because it is given that pressure ratios are equal, it means that, and also we have assumed that T1 equal to T3, it means that T4 is equal to T2. So T4 is also equal to 460.2382 Kelvin. Similarly, P5 by T6 is equal to P5 by P6 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, and P5 by P6 is root R, right? So same thing that we have derived, 4.4721. So T5 by T6 is equal to 4.4721 to the power 0.4 by 1.4, which is again obviously same, 1.5341. T5 we already know is 1200 Kelvin. So this gives us a value of T6 to be 782.2176 Kelvin. This is what I was mentioning when I was saying that the change that occurs in the, for the same pressure changes, the change of temperature between constant pressure lines is higher on this right hand side, right? So we have the constant pressure lines here, right? Say the pressure ratio here between T5 and T6 is same as the pressure ratio between T2 and T1. But the temperature change that has occurred here is 160 Kelvin, and in this case the temperature change that has occurred is more than 400 Kelvin, so 418 Kelvin. So for the same pressure change, the temperature change is much higher. That's why you are getting, for the same pressure ratio, much higher work output from the turbine as compared to the work input that is required in the compressor. So now T8 is obviously equal to T6 because the pressure ratios are same. So T8 is equal to 782.2176 Kelvin. So we now have all the temperatures. T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8. All the temperatures are known. So we can directly now plug them in and find out the efficiency. Even work output also you can find out. We have not found it, but if it is given, you should be able to find out the work output. So what net work output is Cp T5 minus T6 plus Cp T7 minus T8 minus Cp T4 minus T3 minus Cp T2 minus T1. Okay. Both the turbine work output minus both the compressor work input. And heat addition is Cp T5 minus T4 plus Cp T7 minus T6. So now put the values. T5 is 1200, T6 is 782.2176. Then T7 is again 1200, T8 is again 782.2176. So we get 2 into this pattern. Similarly, T4 minus T3 equal to T2 minus T1. So you get 2 into 460.2382 minus 300. Okay. And in the denominator, we have T5 minus T4 or 1200 minus 460.2382 plus 1200 minus 782.2176, T7 minus T6. Okay. CP gets cancelled. So this is equal to 0.4447. Efficiency is 44.7. So simple Brayton cycle would have had higher efficiency because we have added reheating and intercooling. The efficiency has become lower. We don't know. So what will be the, you can easily calculate what will be the efficiency for simple Brayton at R equal to 20. Okay, it will be much higher. Any questions? So all the problems are similar in nature. You can see that it is very easy to solve these problems. Okay. So whatever, I cannot make any complicated problem here also. So ultimately, once you understand the cycle and know about the cycle, it's very easy to solve any of the problems. Any questions, or is it clear? This type of problems you should be very familiar with, because later we will go to more complicated problems, but the same thought process will be required for solving these problems. So you should be very familiar with this type. Means everybody should be able to quickly solve this problem. Okay. Let us take a look at another problem. Again, same problem, but with some modification. So for the same cycle, for the gas turbine system, given in the previous problem, now we have added a regenerator also. Okay. So it is that ultimate cycle with reheating, intercooling, and regenerator. We already know that the work output will not change, but we expect the efficiency to increase. How much will be the efficiency, new efficiency, that we want to find out. Previous case, we have found that to be 0.4447. let us try to find the efficiency in this case, and we expect that it should be higher, right? So with the addition of regeneration, now our cycle looks like this. Okay, I will keep the cycle open here also for the calculation. So 1 to 2 is same, 2 to 3 is same, 3 to 4 is same. Let us just compare it with the previous cycle. But instead of heat addition from 4 to 5 in the combustion chamber, now 4 to 9 is the heat addition in the regenerator. The 9 to 5 is the heat addition in the first combustion chamber. Then again, same turbine expansion 5 to 6, same heat addition in the second combustion chamber 6 to 7. Then same expansion in the second turbine 7 to 8. Okay. Then heat rejection in the regenerator, means heat removal from the heating side of the regenerator. So from 8 to 10. Okay. We are assuming an ideal regenerator. So we are assuming that 9 is equal to T9 is equal to Ti and T10 is equal to T2 or T4. Okay, T10 is equal to T4. And then we are just closing the cycle with constant pressure heat removal from 10 to 1. So this is our modification to the cycle. So we know that the work output does not change, only the efficiency changes because the heat addition changes. So previously the heat addition was from CP from 4 to 5, now it is from 9 to 5. Okay. So accordingly, let us see. With the addition of ideal regenerator, the net work output remains the same, but the external heat input decreases. External heat input, okay, always it is the external heat input which matters in the cycle. Internally, there is heat exchange occurring, but everything what is internal, it's not like this. It is the external heat addition which causes the change in efficiency. Okay. External heat input decreases as the first combustion process is now from 9 to 5, T9, T5. Okay. Efficiency is W net by Q in. Top part remains same, CPT5 minus T6 plus CPT7 minus T8 minus CPT2 minus T1 minus CPT4 minus T3. And the heat addition is CPT5 minus T9 plus CPT7 minus T6. So only new thing is the T9, okay, as compared to previously. And T9 we are assuming for ideal regenerator. We are assuming an ideal regenerator, so T9 should be equal to T8. And T8 we have found to be equal to 782.2176. Okay. So, or equal to T6, the same thing, 782. So you can plug in the values and you will get 61.65% efficiency, 0.6165. Okay. You can see that efficiency has increased quite dramatically. Okay, without affecting the work input, the work output, the efficiency is increased from 44% to 61.65%. Very high efficiency. It is higher than the simple Brayton cycle efficiency because why is it higher? We have seen that up to R equal to 30 also, the efficiency is much higher as compared to simple Brayton cycle. So for R equal to 20, obviously it should be higher than the simple Brayton cycle efficiency. Even if we want, we can try to check once. Let us try. Okay. Whether we can compare with our plots these results. Let us try to do that. It's not required. Approximately, we will try to see whether we get approximate results or not. Exactly, we need to slightly change the code to exactly plot the same value, but approximately we can check. So let us see. So we have first cycle is reheat with intercooling. Okay, reheat with intercooling. So only reheat was these green lines. So reheat with intercooling are the green dotted lines. I hope you can see them. So we are at R equal to 20. Okay, R equal to 20. So along this line, what is the value of T?
4, sir.
It's 4.
4, 1200 by 300. So green dotted line, T equal to 2. This is T equal to, well, let us do one thing. We'll change the axis up to 20. Easier to do in that case. Because then it will be the end point. T equal to 2, T equal to 3, T equal to 4, right? This point. So we get approximately 44.5%, which I think is almost similar. Because we cannot exactly point the same exact point with our mouse cursor, but if you write the program to just plot, give that value, it will be exactly same. So our value was 44.47. So it's the same thing we are getting. Similarly, for the other cycle, the dotted blue line, right? T equal to 2, T equal to 3, T equal to 4. So this line equal to 4, somewhere around here. 61.65. Our value, what was our value? Oh, it's we exactly pinpointed that point. It's 61.65 only. So you see that we are getting the like corresponding values like what we expect from the graphs. Because these are ideal cycles, exactly same values we should obtain, and we can obtain. Okay. So we can easily verify any other problem also. If the data is changed, we can easily write and verify, okay, using these graphs. So we will stop here today. Please go over these things, and from the next class onward, what we will do is we will go into real cycles. Real cycles, again, all the cycles we are not going to study, obviously. Means we are not going to study the individual cycles. What we will do is we'll see what are the differences which causes the ideal cycle to change. Okay. So for example, we have ignored the fluid velocities, kinetic energy. So that can be an important parameter. Similarly, we have ignored the frictional losses. That can be an important parameter. Okay. So these type of things, how to account for them in the cycle, that we will see. Instead of studying all the individual cycles, we will see how to account for them, each of them in detail, point by point. So for example, if this compression and expansion processes are irreversible, instead of being reversible processes, we have to introduce the compressor efficiency and turbine efficiency. And we will see that there are two types of efficiency, isentropic efficiency and polytropic efficiency. So how to include this isentropic efficiency? What is the meaning of this polytropic efficiency? All these things we have to study. Similarly, if the Cp and gamma varies with the change in temperature and composition, how to take that into consideration? Mass flow rate will vary with fuel addition, how to take that into consideration? Combustion is not 100% efficient, how to take that into consideration? All these things, pressure losses due to friction, step by step we will study. Okay, and then after that we will go into jet engines. So this will take some time still. So before the exam we will start the jet engine part, and that will be a very long period because we had very less amount of classes before the midterm. More classes are there after midterm. Then the final second half of the course is not so long. We will put more focus on the jet engines because that is interesting to know also, and second is that is quite industrially relevant also. We'll stop here and go through this part. We'll study all this material and try to plot, at least try to use the program that I have given just to plot and try to make some changes just for the sake of understanding how things are varying. Okay. We'll stop here. Any questions? Otherwise, we will stop the recording. Attendance I will take directly from the Teams.